All right. Hey, this is the pattern matching proposal for ECMAScript, because of course you can't actually call it JavaScript because Oracle will then come and sue you. Like, actually, not kidding. Oracle will come and figure you out. Okay, so we're gonna actually go through. Pattern matching, and we're gonna see what does the new pattern matching look like. The proposal by the TC39 committee. We got some champions right here. Awesome. Hey, champions, way to go. All right, so what's the problem they're trying to solve? There are many ways to match values in the language, but there are no ways to match patterns beyond regular expressions for strings. Switch is severely limited, and it may not appear in the expression position. An explicit break is required in each case to avoid accidental fall through. Scoping is ambiguous. Block scoped variables inside case statements are in the scope of others. Yes, this is true unless if you explicitly put a scope around the case statement. So I don't know if you know this. This is Lua? What the hell am I doing with Lua? But if you go to, let's see. I don't know if you guys know this. This is kind of a weird thing about TypeScript. If you go like this, switch, I don't know, let's see, foo, right? You do one of those, and const foo equals blah, 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 right? You can do something like case, bar, and then you can do this, right? And then, const a equals, 69, and then break, right? That's okay. Then you can go case baz, and then you can do another one, and const a again, right? Const a equals 420, right? And so you can do this. It's just saying because foo, I already defined foo somewhere else up here, and it's like, hey, you can't do that. And so, oh my goodness, TypeScript. I'm TypeScript. Anyways, cool way to be able to do that. I don't know if you know that. Just like cool little fun fact. If you need to scope your switch statements, you can do it with that. But I agree, it is complete ass pain, right? Nothing's worse. Honestly, nothing is worse than seeing crap like this, right? Where you have like this kind of stuff going on, because then you have an A that's within all of your case statements except for this one, which shadows over an A. Like, I've seen stuff like this. It is just maniacal. Truly, truly, truly maniacal. Break goes outside the scope. I know, I do. It's insane. Let's see. Are available. Let's see, in the scope of others unless curly braces are used. Oh, I didn't read. I should have read further. There we go. And you can only do comparison on this. Yep, exactly. Priorities for the solution. This section details the proposal priorities. Note. Okay, so pattern matching. Let's see. All right, the pattern matching construct is a full conditional logic construct that can do more than just pattern matching, such as there have been and there will be more trade-offs that need to be made. In those cases, we should prioritize the ergonomics of the structural pattern matching over the capabilities of the construct. Okay, we already know all this. I assume if you don't understand why switch sucks, then, go play with the difference. I do like this idea that matching should be an expression. Good. Pattern matching construct should be usable as an expression. Love it. Love all of that. I'm actually struggling to see what does this mean. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a return statement. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I now struggle. I unstruggle. Should have just waited a second. The value of the whole expression is the value of whatever clause is matched. Okay. Exhaustiveness and ordering. I love this. If a developer wants to ignore certain possible cases, they should specify that explicitly. This is like a huge W. I really hope that they do this. It would be nuts to have a match statement without that. Right? Like Rust. Yeah, exactly like Rust. A development time error is less costly than a production time error. Absolutely. If developer wants two cases to share logic, what is known as fall through switch, they should specify it explicitly. Oh, interesting. Are they going to make an explicit fall-through logic? I don't think I've ever seen that or know of it. Is that like a thing? Can you do that in Rust? I have never seen an explicit fall-through case. Does that mean you're introducing a new keyword called fall-through or something like that? Go has it? I feel like I've seen it in Go. That's why, like, in my head, I'm like, I swear I've seen this, but I don't know where. Interesting. Userland objects should be able to encapsulate their own matching semantics without necessarily privileging built-ins. Okay. This includes regular expressions. Licenses. No, TC39, you don't appear to have a license yet for regular expressions. So maybe you shouldn't just be illegally, okay, and out of terms and condition using such phrases like that. Okay, I just want to let you know, because we all know one thing, because you shouldn't be adding regular expressions to a code base without a license, and those who have a license generally know it's better not to use them. Okay, remember that. Remember that. Oh, I'm just going to do a quick email parser and IP address. This is going to go great. No, it's not. No, It didn't go great. It's never gone great. It never has been great. It's never going to go great. It is always an awful experience. By the way, this is by some coding guy on Twitch. Me and him worked together on at Netflix, and him and I won a Hack Day award together. We replaced a lot of the stuff doing with Netflix and took off all the JSON and did a really strong binary encoding. We just did literally C structs. We just inlined a bunch of C structs and then transferred it over, and then we were able to beat production by doing a series of Galaxy S3s, or Galaxy, whatever they called them, Galaxy 3s, Samsung phones. We beat Amazon AWS by making our own microservices running on Galaxy 3s or whatever it was. It was pretty fun. We took the W. We took a strong W just then. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Anyways, let's keep on going. Prior art. Do I seriously need you do need a license, okay? You wouldn't download a car, would you? All right, use your land to matching. Oop, hold on. Prior art. Okay, those proposals, ads, pattern matching. Okay, so there's a lot of prior art. Obviously, they didn't mention, okay, they did mention Rust. They also mentioned CoffeeScript, which still is a mistake. User land matching. A list of community libraries that provide similar matching functionality. Optional TS patterns, Babel plugin proposal pattern matching, matches, Patcom. All right, match res. When status equals this equals this, handle body. So I'm really curious how this is going to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am really curious how they plan on doing this, because, like, how do they know that you're exhaustive? Because in some sense, to be exhaustive, like, especially on an object like this, to be exhaustive, it has to know the type. The type has to be defined, like, for real. Since JavaScript is all loosey-goosey, do you just always have to have a default? You know, which kind of sucks. Like, that, it really feels like it ruins pattern matching if you have to have a default everywhere, right? That's the point of pattern matching, is that I don't have to have a default. I explicitly state every possible way to handle this one thing. It is interesting. I never thought about that with JavaScript, because I was wondering how this is going to look. So I assume what this is actually doing is it must build up some sort of sweet bytecode inside the engine, like when they actually implement this, that will just do, you know, C++ comparison of these properties, right? Okay, I don't really understand. I also have a hard time understanding this syntax specifically. Are they saying that there is going to be 2 or more properties on this thing? Status, it'll be a number, that's 200. Body, it just has to exist. And then rest, which is actually going to create a new object that represents the remainder of the properties. I think that's what it's saying. It matches objects, not types. Exactly. So that's what's kind of wild about this proposal, is that it matches on objects, not types. And so you lose a lot of the cool, like, I assume there's a lot of optimizations inside of a proper match that can't happen here. Match expression. The whole block beginning with the match keyword is a match construct. Res is a matchable. Oh, okay. A matchable. What is a matchable? Just so we understand, just so we have the right terms. Wait, where the hell did I just push that? Matchable. There we go. A value, let's see. The value a pattern is matched against. Okay, so that's just a term. Okay, so it's just a term, whatever. It is what it is. Okay. It's actually just that. Let's see. There are 4 clauses in this example, 3 when clauses and a default one. A clause consists of a left-hand side and a right-hand side separated by a colon. The left-hand side begins with when or the default keyword. The when keyword must be followed by a pattern in parentheses. Each of the when clauses here contains object patterns. The parenthesized pattern may be followed by a guard, which consists of an if keyword. Okay, cool. So that's kind of very like Rust, and I'm sure there's other languages that have it as well. I think I've seen it in plenty of other ones. I think OCaml has it, all that. The right-hand side of any expression, it will be evaluated if the left-hand side successfully matches. Okay, so it's like, I mean, oh, wow, they're talking about this? Have we become Lua? It is kind of interesting that we're introducing a lot of keywords here. One problem I always kind of have with JavaScript just in general is that I feel like it has a series of really good ideas, but often it can be wrapped in kind of ways that feel like it gets out of control a little bit. And I'm a little bit worried about how, I'm a little worried about how far or weird this can go. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a whole, like, debugging is going to be kind of unfun, you know? It could be weird. I don't know. Maybe it'll be great. My assumption is that I will love this, right? I will love using this. But my assumption is there's going to be a few times that I will hate that I'm using it. You know what I mean? You're unfun. Okay, calm down. This sample is a contrived parser for a text-based adventure game. Okay, cool. All right, the first clause. Okay, we already know how all these things work. I don't think we have to do that. Array length checking. Match res is empty. If is empty. Really? Really? Like, I just assumed I would see something like this, right? It'd be, a thing, right? And I would see something that looked like case that. Like, I figured that would be the empty array. That makes way more sense. Like, that's like pattern matching. It feels, right? I really don't like the idea. So I think one thing that gets really kind of complicated here, and I think is going to be really unforeseen, is that you're definitely going to have a lot of logic executing that you may or may not realize that you're executing because you're going to have to order these things in, like, you could imagine that any hot path item, you're going to have to really think about it, which is, doesn't feel great. Anyways, array patterns, implicit length check coming, let's see, incoming. Okay, let's see, implicitly check the length of it's incoming. Okay. Array patterns. I don't know what this is. What is array patterns? That's what I wanted to see, is array patterns. Okay, so that's not what. That's anyways. Bindings from regex patterns with named capture groups. Oh, interesting. Okay. I wonder how the G works in this. Did anyone ask about the G? What's the G looking like it? Right? Because for those that don't know, G contains state. A global match has state, so therefore it is kind of it could be. I wonder what happens when you use a match with the G. You know what I mean? Top G or G Spot? We don't even know. Who's G? She's a streamer on Twitch. Her name's Study Time. But we just call her G. It goes kaboom. I know, it's just, again, there's a lot of oddities that can happen, especially in the regex world when it comes to JavaScript. I wonder if they're going to disable the G. My assumption is this will make JS even slower. And bros, let's see, bros will overuse it and write, well, actually, the code doesn't matter. Developer speed is what matters. Processors are fast. Yes, this already happens no matter what. This is already a statement. That's why we have it. Disable the G-Spot. This feature made by Arch Linux. Yes, it is. It's made by Arch Linux. But it's a real... it is a real conundrum, which I think that this... One thing that I see right here is... This makes it a lot harder to reason about your code and how it's executing. That's why, I'm a little worried about it, but, maybe it's good. I'm not a fan of regexes. You should know that. Speaking of interpolations, okay. Okay, here we see the interpolation operator, which escapes from pattern mode syntax to expression mode syntax. It is conceptually very similar to using template strings, okay? Written as just LF is an identifier pattern, which should always match regardless of the value. So 0A is new line, 0D must be return. I always remember it, if you're ever wondering, is it /r/n or /n/r? How I always remembered it is it's the registered nurse. Because that's what you're going to need after you get done dealing with /r/n and /n/r or /r/n. You will need one. Anyways, I actually don't understand what they're trying to say. Why can't we just provide this as a value when it's this value? Is it because this is a string and this is... Because there is no char type, therefore there is there's an oopsie daisy going on here. This is a char proper type, and this is a char string type. Therefore, you have to do this. Where's the ticks? I don't think I quite get this. I mean, I think I understand what's happening here, but I would expect at least like ticks on each side of this to kind of like, you know, this is just a lot of syntax. Huh. Another question I have is, is this a single time operation? Meaning at compile time or, / interpretation time for the first time, do they take this value and since it's a constant, do they move it out and they never recompute it? Or do they compute it every single time due to the loosey-goosey nature of JavaScript? I'm just curious. I'm curious about these kind of things. Anyways, I'm just a curious cat, okay? Okay. Let's see. Let's look at this. Option has. Let's see. Value has value. Okay. Do this. Get value. If it has this, we do this value. Else throw this thing. Some value. By the way, I really hate. I will say that like on the level of bad syntax, the pound me sign as denoting private in JavaScript feels emotionally bruising. It honestly, it feels like, it just feels like they said, you know what? I refuse private. Because I feel like the engine could have just been like, okay, we know how to handle private, right? Like, you're still denoting it with you're still denoting that it's private with something. I feel like the engine could have done this. It just feels weird, and this somehow does not make me feel happy. I agree, and this is coming from someone who loves JS. I've never liked this syntax. I just find it horrible. I've also gotten into arguments with my coworkers about this, where it's like someone had, class. We'll just recreate this, where we had it in TypeScript, and they wanted everything to be underscored, prefixed because it's not technically. Oh, thank you. High five. Because it's not, because it's not technically private, and it's just like. I have this rule of thumb, which is that if you break TS by accessing private items and then using like TS ignore, two things happened. One, I've designed something that's horrible, or two, you are doing something that is horrible. Right? And so it's like, why would I do that? Right? The TypeScript compiler tells me exactly that I can't execute this. I rely on my IDE to tell me the correct thing to do, or my PDE, my personalized development environment, to do the right thing, right? So why would I put semantic meaning on a character? I just think it's dumb. It comes from an old tradition that made sense back in the day to let people know that this is private and may change. But that's because we used to just write JavaScript, and just JavaScript was a horrifying experience. TypeScript is a bad experience. It's not horrifying, right? Like, I can write something, I could do that. Still very common in C#. It's a crazy thing to do, underscoring private fields. I just do not understand it. I understood it in the day in which you didn't have an LSP. When you didn't have an LSP and you didn't have the ability to be immediately told, or even told during some sort of like developer time, non-runtime moment that, hey, this thing can't exist, to me that made sense. But since we don't exist in that world anymore, we should stop using it for that. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. That world doesn't exist. Now it makes no sense. There's plenty of things that made sense at one point. Let's see. Regexes are a major motivator for the custom matcher protocol. Oh my goodness, my emotions are broken. My emotions are literally broken reading that statement. Okay, so let's keep on going down. Custom matcher protocol. Okay. Static sum value, none. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Symbol matcher is a function matched, has value, inval, and oh, this is this object. Oh, weird. Oh, that took me a second to kind of figure out what they're trying to say. So has value is being interpreted as a property that's inside value, and if and this value. Okay, so if it's matched. Okay, I think I see it. Matched in value. Okay, I think I see it. I think I understand this. I think I understand this. Which means that we can do this. Okay, I didn't understand this. That is horrifying syntax. Okay, so I think I think I understand what's happening here. Oh my goodness, I think I understand what's happening here. Do you know what with does? With is the devil's keyword. And is it making a resurgent in when cases? Is that what we're seeing? Is a resurgence of the world's grossest operator? With is deprecated. With is like one of the only deprecated items ever in JavaScript. It was such a bad idea. With is a preposition. Follow me for more tips. Damn. The Satan's keyword. It legitimately is Satan's keyword. Holy cow. In this sample implementation of a common option type, the expression inside this are the static constructors sum and option, which have a symbol matcher method. This method is invoked with the matcher. So here's my next question. This right here means that it's constructing an object every time it does a match statement. See, like this is one of those things that people aren't catching on to. Since I have to have such an eye for memory usage, like I am definitely seeing something here. Like things are being created. Right? I don't know what it's going to do to performance. I can't make a direction either way, but it seems as if this could be really really difficult. You know what I mean? Object pool this, you filthy casuals. Exactly. Thank you, Oatsteel. Thank you. Since you know this thing probably has a very limited life, you could probably just literally have it as a singular thing. Yeah, well, if you come from Lua, that's like the length of something. Okay, yeah. The interpolation pattern can be optional chained into another pattern with chaining. Oh, no. Oh, no. Here it comes. Okay. I was hoping to see something. Built-in custom matchers. I guess we're leaning into the no types for JavaScript. I mean, this statement can only exist in a world in which you need types, but you're not allowed to have types. That's the only world that can exist in. When name and ASCII CI color. Hold on. I think I see this. I think I see what's happening here. Return matched stir equals lowercase equals. So only if name is color to lowercase. Okay, I'm super actually. Okay, actually, I'm genuinely confused here because this looks like it will only match things that say color, right? Is that what it's saying? I'm actually having a hard time trying to figure out what's happening here. So what I think I see is that you have a name and you run this function which produces an object which has a matcher, which the match function is then created on it, in which that match function gets passed in with the thing you're matching on, which in this case is a CSS property, and then we're going to return and we're going to take the string, we're going to create it all to lowercase from up here, and then from there we're going to match it against what was passed in and lowercase that one as well. So what I see is that name and name has to be color and value. I see it. It's taking a CSS property and ensuring that it's the color property, and then we get the value out, and that's that. Oh, this is like oh my goodness. But name is unused in this scope, but do you need to specify name because you need to be able to AND it with this property? Or AND it with this matcher? Is that what's happening? I think that's what's happening. That's really complicated. Yeah, dude, this this is brain fuck. This is okay, so that's what's happening. To be able to run this thing on the matchable is this name right here. So the name effectively gets pooped into this thing because the thing that comes out of this interpolator is a symbol matcher, so therefore it's going to run the symbol matcher on it. It's an object with symbol matcher, and therefore it's going to run it on this thing, and we're ensuring that color will be used. Another thing that's a little crazy here is that every single time, at least as far as I can tell, every single time this thing is ran, we reproduce this symbol matcher right here based on this string. I walk in on this. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Maybe I need more time to understand this. Like, I can see why people like this, right? Like, this makes sense. Why would you not like this? This is like, of course you'd like this. Of course you do. Right? Who doesn't want that? A motivating example, right? Like, I understand why you, okay, if status is greater than this, request error. Well, you know, as a motivating example, this is hilarious. You know why? Because if I return I'm a teapot, it's a request error. 500s and 400s are very, very different. It's funny that even in this thing, it's just like, okay, that's crazy talk. A more concise, more functional handling of Redux reducers. Someone is drinking some serious Kool-Aid to do Redux reducers with this. Okay, here we go. To-dos reducer, state equals initialize state actions. Isn't that considered like a complete naughty already right there? You're having, wait, is this even legal syntax? Isn't this illegal syntax? You can't have something that comes with an initialized state and then an uninitialized one. Call the cops right now. Well, yes, this is a default value, but then this one doesn't have a default value. Bruh. This is like, that's normal and fine? No, it's not. That is a straight to jail item right there. No, this is fine. No, you are crazy. Okay, return match action. When type is set, visibility filter, payload, viz filter. Oh, look at that nice copy. Viz filter. Okay, so we take the object, we break the object, we reproduce the object, and we throw on a viz filter from the action. Okay, cool. Type to do, add on, do this, add this thing to the front of the list. Or first we recreate the list and then we put in a new one. All right, let's go. Type toggle. Let's do this. We're going to take this one. We're going to take the to-dos, create a copy of it until we get this one. We're going to splice it out. You know splice just works, right? Or not even, they're not even splicing. What are you doing? Holy shit. I just realized what this thing is doing. This thing's taking state, taking the to-dos, copying the to-dos out, creating a new to-do object, and the new to-do object gets recreated, it looks like, where we flop this thing, and then we also return out. Oh, look at that beauty syntax. Can we all agree that, don't you just love the idea of, well, we can't use return statements, so here's a parenthesis expression return. That is so good. And then we recopy the thing and also the new to-dos. Like, you recopied every single object in here. OCaml is alive and well after this. OCaml is loving life right now. You know, one of the funniest things about this is that you always see this argument about why you use Redux or something like that. And Mark from Front End Masters did a vanilla to-do MVC, and people looked at how he was handling actions, which he effectively had this exact same piece of code, except for as like a series of functions. And people are like, that's unmaintainable. What happened if you have to add more? I mean, in this example, you'd have literally the exact same problem. It's just is slightly different looking. It's funny how it really goes back to the original statement that I made, I think last one, which is DX is, if it feels better to me, that's DX, right? Like, if you're used to this, then this will be fine. Do I think this is a little crazy? There is so much happening right here. Yeah, I feel like it's a little crazy. But for someone who's used to this, this is DX, right? Concise conditional logic in JSX. Fetch URL path prop match props when loading when error due. I never even caught the do keyword. The Lord's loop! Except for this isn't the Lord's loop. This is only just a Lord's loop with length 1. You know, many of us have a length 1, and we're all still really great, okay? I just want you to know that. Okay? We're totally still pretty awesome, okay? This is just so funny to me. This is so funny to me that you have a do with the parentheses, and then to cause it to return out a value expression, you have to do this because you can't disambiguate a scope versus an object. It's just so beautiful. This is where I think the word break really would make a lot of niceness here. Just break with a value. I think Zig does that, and I like that. I don't think Zig does that. I think Zig does something else. I would love to see just some sort of explicit keyword here because this just looks crazy. All right, proposal, match construct, blah 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 blah. We already looked at matchable. This is where we do all the definitions. We talked about guard clauses already, array pattern matching, all that kind of stuff. I like this. See, this is exactly what I wanted to see. We found 1 int. We found 2. Why can't we have an empty? Where is the empty? Why did we have to have that if statement? I like this. This is what I want. This is what I want. I want that. I like this. This is great. This is great to me. All right. I think we've kind of reached kind of the example to the end of all that kind of stuff. This is also really weird. Type coercion. Is this, or not type coercion, this is type checking via a match. Which is just kind of crazy. Just in general to me. Like, this whole statement is kind of nutty. Do you know what I mean? Is it just me? Am I being too old? I could be too old. Maybe I'm too old. I think I'm going to go buy a box of brand cereal. I'm going to buy a box of brand cereal, maybe get my pooping under control, you know. There's no default. I know there's no default. How does it know there's no default, right? See, like, that's one of those things that makes match, like, exactly. You're actually 100% correct. There's something that makes match really, really amazing, which is that you can exhaustively match anything. Is this exhaustive or not? How do they know it's exhaustive or not? Follow up. Okay. Property name, it already gets in the cache. Okay, I was about to say follow up. That means this thing is only executed once. So this statement right here, okay, this is also, I mean, this makes sense. So this thing is called once, which also doesn't make sense. So if you're in a loop, oh! If you're in a loop, it will re-execute once per loop, but it will only execute this phrase once and cache the value. Let's go. I like how they provide really sane and totally normal examples that don't make you have to think about things. Yeah, they look for your exhaustion. I know. To do. Got them. All right. Well, I'm going to give my opinion on pattern matching in JavaScript. Okay, this is my opinion on pattern matching. I think pattern matching is one of the most powerful features ever, and I truly am unable to make the most effective use of pattern matching. It is genuinely one of my most underrated, like one of my most underutilized skills that I have, and I'd love to be able to do it more and more and really be able to understand pattern matching, because pattern matching is truly probably the most powerful programming concept that we have as programmers. It is incredible. It is one of the most amazing things ever. But I will say that in this example that we're looking at, it seems like it took pattern matching and up-leveled it into runtime expression matching effectively. And this thing feels really, really hard. This feels like this is going to go out of control. Generics are better than pattern matching. They're really not. If you don't understand pattern matching, you really, truly don't understand how powerful that feature is. I, too, thought this exact same thing, and until I started playing with it and truly understanding what you can do with a pattern that you cannot do with generics, right? There is one really amazing thing you can do right here that they're showing right away. Things like this. This can be really incredible for certain reasons, and this is really great to be able to take like the ends of the two lists. There's something really amazing about this to be able to do something with a multi-match, right? That's something that that Rust can do way better than this can. So you can actually do like a match, give me the first and last item of the list, and if they're both an object and they both don't equal each other, then we have a list that is, there's like all sorts of cool things you can do. I really, 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 really like the things that you can do with pattern matching. That is just super unique and takes away a huge amount of programming that otherwise you would have to do. Matching is freaking sweet. This example that they're giving us and all the things I'm seeing here, I truly do worry about the state of... I really worry because, a lot of things people don't do is they don't try to remember what it felt like to not understand how a function works. And then even more so not understanding how a method works. And then even more so not understanding, say, how objects and scope and all these things work, right? Like, you really have to remember that feeling. And if you looked at this as some of you, like, if this is going to become the normal state of code that you see a lot of times, I do greatly fear for the people just coming in, because it is so many things happening right here. The amount of computer operations per symbol is extremely, extremely disproportional. And so you may not realize what's happening. Like, this statement alone is crazy. It's taking an object, copying the object, taking the twos, recopying the inner. This is a by handcrafted deep copy, and then adding a false at the end. Like, that's a lot of things to happen up here that if you're newer, this statement is really hard to understand. All the things that are happening. Anyways, it's just kind of my thoughts on it, which is just I feel like this is just going to be a really hard feature. It's just gonna make front end. I feel like it's just making front end harder, and I think this is why changing modern front ends takes ever. I think it's only gonna make it harder, right? And I think it's just I worry a lot about this feature. I love pattern matching. I wanted to start off saying how much I love pattern matching first, because I had really high hopes in JavaScript to have good pattern matching. We also read just an article just recently that less is more. And the reason why Go got started was because instead of adding more and more features, try adding less and less. Perhaps this could have been a better way to make a less is more. Reduce the cases of pattern matching so that only certain things can be done. So it's very straightforward, right? You can take an object and just grab things out, kind of like that status 200 and S thing, right? But like this right here, someone just said declarative everywhere. Someone said it. I can't even find it, right? Someone said it. Anyways, what else? Let's see. I think declarative programming should be the norm everywhere. So, like, that statement is great. The hard part about this is that everything about this isn't declarative, right? There's so many things in here that aren't going to be declarative. Like, these are all nice and declarative. I get that. That's great. I like that. I can buy onto this. This is very good, but there's other places that they're actually, like, this is great. This is what I think is fantastic pattern matching right here. But there's things that we looked at that make this really, really hard. Like this, you kind of leave the world of declarative, and you're really starting to get into the world of, mixing the two. It's like a declarative imperative style that's really hard to follow. Obviously, all declarative styles become something else. Like this is, now you're starting to get into the same thing. It's a little bit goofy. I'm having a little bit of a hard time to see this. Why is this thing called value and this thing is called val? I don't understand it. How does it know how to pull this property? Is value like some keyword? It's, there's some things there that are kind of unique about it. Also, this right here, you're starting to lose that, right? You're starting to look at these statements. You're starting to lose some of it, and you start getting into this mix of, which I think is the worst of all things, which is declarative feel with imperative execution, which makes it so it's like whoosh, super hard, right? It just makes you have to really think about everything. Anyways, thoughts on it? Excited about pattern matching. I really hope that they maybe pare it down a little bit, you know what I mean? Pare it down a little bit at least. Maybe make it not so expressive. Worried, obviously, about that. I feel like devs often forget a lot of people write code semi-casually, like pen testers, sysadmins. The complexity of code is what keeps them away from framework and languages. That's a good point. It's a good point. I can't wait for syntax highlighting for JavaScript after this. The name is the Primogen. By the way, VS Code still uses a lot of regexes for text highlighting. I cannot wait for the regex that's going to have to be written for this, because they still haven't quite gotten tree sitter put in. Imagine the amount of regexes that are going to have to be written and the amount of escapes to get all this right. This shit's wild looking. It's beautiful.